Hello everyone, welcome to today's video lecture. In today's video lecture, we will be learning about C language. So the overview of C language, importance of C language, and the basic format or the syntax of writing C program. This is what we will be learning in today's video lecture. So stay tuned. First of all, let's look into what is the importance of C language. Now, C language is a very robust language and it has its own built-in functions. So there's a rich set of built-in functions and operators which can be used to tackle any given problem. So you can write a complex program by using these built-in functions and operators. So the programs written in C are very efficient and fast. Now the reason behind this is that there are a variety of data types and operators which let you write C programs. There are also various standard functions which are available for developing the programs. Hence the programs written in C language are efficient enough. The next important thing about a C language is that it is highly portable. So what do you mean by highly portable is that any program, any C program written for one computer can be run on another computer with any sort of modification or no modifications at all. So doing no modifications in the C program, you can make it run on another computer, or at times they have to be like minor modifications done. Hence the property of C language is that it is highly portable. The next thing to look into the C program is that it is well suited for structured programming. So basically it can have a modular structure which makes the program debugging, testing and maintenance easier. So what do you mean by structured programming is that there is a structure which you need to follow whenever you write a C program. And because of this modular structure format, the program testing, maintenance, debugging is very easier. Also, you have to remember that C language has the ability to extend itself. So what I mean by this is that there are like various collections of functions that are supported by the C library, and hence you can use these functions which are readily available in the C library. Now along with these functions, you can also add your own functions to the C library. So C has that ability to extend itself. So because of all of these points or these important things about C language is very much preferred or used or studied by programmers. Let's go on to the next slide. In this we will look into what is the format of a simple C program. So as you see on the screen, this is the C program. These are the lines of code in a C program. It starts over here and it ends over here. So let's go line by line to see what each of the line of code means in a C program. First line of code is the function name. Now this is a main function. So the main function is returned on this particular line. Now what do you mean by main or a function in C is that you have to remember every program must have exactly one main function. There cannot be two main functions in a C program. Now when I say function, what is a function first of all? Function is a group of statements that together can perform some kind of a task. So you can write many functions in a C program, but every C program will have only one main function. So by default, if you look at any C program, it should have at least one function, which is that the main function. Along with that main function, you can add additional functions as well, where each of the function will perform some kind of a specific task. So when we look over here, this main function, what you see is doing some kind of task. Let's look into what is the format or the general form of writing a function. So you see over here, there is a return type, then there is the function name which is mentioned. Inside the parenthesis, you see the parameter list, and then there is a curly brace, and inside that is the body of the function, and then the closing brace. So this is the general form of a function. Let's look into it one by one. First thing is the return type. Now what a return type means that the function can return some kind of a value. Now this return type over here, what you see, denotes the data type of the value the function would return. For example, say the function returns a integer value, then this return type will be int. If the function returns a float value, then this return type would be float. If the function returns a value which is of the type say double, then this return type would be double. So depending on what the function returns as a value or as a result, that return type is mentioned over here. Indirectly, it is the data type. The next thing you have to know is the function name. You have to give a function name to the function. So basically it's a user defined function. Then you can give your own name. It can be anything. You can call the function say addition. You can call the function any other user defined name. In case of a main function, the name of the main function will be always main itself, M-A-I-N. And after the function name, you see in a bracket, in a round bracket, it's also called as parenthesis, in that is the parameter list. So what is a parameter list? A parameter is like a placeholder. So when a function is invoked or when a function is called, you pass a value to the parameter. These parameters are actually optional. So sometimes functions can have no parameters. But if you have some parameters, then you have to write them in a round bracket. How to go about writing parameters, we will see when we are studying functions in the later video lectures. So opening brace, curly brace, denotes the start of the function, the body of the function rather, and the closing curly brace ends the end of the function. So whatever you have to write for the function to perform, it could be say some kind of a calculation, some kind of say task to be performed, that everything should be enclosed within a opening curly brace and a closing curly brace. Hence that is called as the body of the function. Now if you see below over here, C permits different forms of writing the main statement. That first statement, what you see, the main statement allows various different formats or types, forms rather. Which are the different forms? First one, you can write it as main and open and close round bracket. The second type of form is you write the return type as int and then you write the main function. So this is the return type and this is the name of the function. The next form is you write void and you write the name of the function, which is main again. Now if you know, this is the return type, or it's also the data type. Now this int return type means that the main function will return a integer value, and this void return type means that the main function returns no value basically. So for no value return, we use the void data type. Now what kind of values basically? So it could be any kind of an information returned to the operating system. So when there is no information returned by the main function to the operating system, that's when we use the void. Over here you see there is no data type mentioned or no return type mentioned, which means that by default it is void. And you see the parameter list also is void. Whenever in this line you see we don't write any parameter list, we write an empty parameter list, it is as good as saying it is a void parameter list. Void means empty. The next form of writing the main statement is void, because the return type is void, so it's basically returning nothing to the operating system. The function name being main, and the parameter list is also void, so which means there are no parameters for the given main function. And the last form of writing main is that the return type is integer, which means the main function returns an integer value to the operating system, and the parameter list is also empty over here. So hence you mention the void keyword. Now these are the various types of forms of writing the main statement. So main statement can take either of one of these forms. Alright, let's go on to the next slide. We have looked into how to write the main statement, the different forms of it. So this particular curly brace you see over here, it denotes the start of the program. Now the end of the program is denoted by the closing brace. So if you consider this to be the function main, here the function starts and here the function ends. So this entire thing is called as the function body, and the name of the function is main. Now here you can write various program statements in the body of the function. You can write various statements. Now you have to remember every statement ends with a semicolon. So every given statement in C language ends with a semicolon. Now there are certain statements in which you don't use a semicolon. We will see those statements in the later classes or in the later video lectures. Next statement is the comment statement. Now the comment statement is returned by a backslash and a asterisk sign, that is the start of the comment, and the end of the comment is by a asterisk and a slash backslash again. So basically whatever you write between this and this is the comment. So like for example over here, this printing is nothing but a comment. So what are these comments used for? These are just used for understanding the program, to enhance the readability of the C program. You have to remember that these comment lines are not executable statements. They are just used by the programmer for understanding purpose, for readability purpose. It is having no significance in executing of the C program. So they are not executable statements. We can also write comment statements by using backslash. So two backslashes. Whatever we write after the two backslashes would be a comment, would be considered as a comment. So these are two ways of writing comment statements. Now the end of the program you see over here is denoted by the closing curly brace. So it's very important to put the curly brace to denote the start and the end of a C program. The next thing is something called as the header files. Now there are various functions. Their functions are called as library functions in C. All these library functions are stored in files which are called as header files. Now library functions are inbuilt functions. These were the functions which were developed when the C programming language was self-developed. Okay. So these library functions let you do various kind of tasks. They actually make your C programming task easier. So we will learn these library functions one by one as we go on with the lectures. But these library functions are stored in something called as header files. That's what you have to remember. Now whenever we want to access these functions which are library functions, we have to inform or tell the compiler. So basically, who is a compiler or what is a compiler? Compiler is nothing but a software which translates, or rather we call it compiles, the code which is written in any kind of language. It can be C language, C++, Java. It converts or it translates this language into machine language so that the CPU can understand. Like whatever we write a C program, the CPU cannot understand it because it is a high level language. And so the CPU understands only machine level language. And the job of translating this high level language into machine level language is done by this software which is called as a compiler. So you can use various different compilers. There are many compilers which you can use to translate or to compile your code into a machine readable code for the CPU to understand. So whenever we use a compiler, we have to tell which functions we want to access, and those functions are present in the header files. Hence it is very much required to include the header files in the C program so that we can make use of these functions in our C program. Now how do we write this? The syntax is, you can see on the slide, hash include file name. This file name is the header file name. So whatever header file name it has, that has to be mentioned in a angle bracket. For example, stdio is a name of a header file. This stdio full form is standard input output header file. So the standard input output header files has some library functions. For example, for printing it has printf, for taking input it has scanf. So to make use of all these functions like printf, scanf, we have to make use of this particular header file in the program. And how do we include? By making use of this hash include preprocessor directive. This is a preprocessor directive. To make use of the header file, we have to make use of this preprocessor directive. So this is a one line which we have to include in every C program to make use of the basic functions which are printf and scanf. Without making use of this line in the C program, what I mean by that is, without telling the compiler that you need the header file stdio.h I cannot make use of this printf and scanf function in my C program. So the preprocessor directive is placed at the beginning of the C program. It cannot be placed at the end of the C program. You have to place it at the very beginning of the C program before anything starts, any code starts in the C program. So what we'll do is we'll look at one example of writing a C program. We'll use an online compiler, onlinegdb.com, online compiler for C. You see over here, this is the preprocessor directive and this is the header file. We have to always include the header file in an angle bracket. Now you see over here, the main function is returned in this form. Void means that it is not returning any kind of information or value to the operating system. This is the start of the main function and this is the end of the main function. Now what you see over here is a comment statement. As I have told you, comment statement is not a executable statement. It is just used for readability purpose. Okay. Now let's write some lines of code inside the main function. So let's use, or let's just print some kind of statement saying so I just written welcome to C programming. This is how you would write. Every line ends with a semicolon. Now to place this line on a new line, place this text rather on a new line, you would have to use the new line character, which is a backslash and a n. A backslash n denotes a new line character. A backslash t denotes space to be left. So basically a place of a tab, space of a tab to be left before printing this statement. So this is how a simple C program would look like. This is the body of the main function. This is the header file. This is the preprocessor directive. This is a comment statement. And we end it with a semicolon. Now another way of writing another form which we saw is by writing a int, a return type for the main function. If that is the case, then we have to write this statement, return 0 towards the end. If the return type is void, we do not have to write the return 0 statement in the main function because it is not returning any kind of a value to the operating system. Hence we did not write. But if we are writing the return type as integer, then we have to write this statement. So if we execute this program, then this is the output what we get onto the console. You can see welcome to C programming. So this is one basic program in C. Let us continue. Now whenever we say we are executing a C program, which are the different steps which are involved? I have listed the steps which are involved in executing a C program. The first step is creating the program. The second step is compiling the program. The third step is linking the program with functions that are needed from the C library. And the fourth and the final step you see is executing the program. So First is creating the program, second is compiling the program, third is linking the program to all the functions in the C library, and last is executing the program. Let us understand this better with a flow chart. So you see this particular flow chart. The first process which occurs is the system is ready. You have to enter the program. Basically, in this case, it is a C program. So you have to enter your C program. Now, the C program which you have written or entered is called as the source program. So once you write the source program, or is also called as code, C code or program code, that particular source program can be edited. Now what I mean by edited is that you can add more lines, you can make some changes, you can delete some lines, you can edit the source program. Once you are done fully with editing the source program, what you have to do is you have to compile the source program. So the second step is to compile the C program. So the compiler is used for compiling the C program. Now I have mentioned to you all already that a compiler is nothing but a software that translates or rather compiles the source code which is written in a high level language into machine readable language that can be understood by the CPU. So over here the C program, C source code will be converted into machine readable code so that the CPU can understand, and this job is done by the compiler. Now in case there are any kind of errors, now the errors would be syntax errors. For example, it could be say a missing semicolon. You have written a line, suppose say without a semicolon, or you have done a mistake in writing the function, like you have not used braces or you have not used the correct brackets, then you will get all those kind of syntax errors. In case there are syntax errors, then you have to again edit the code. So you have to edit your source code or your source program, and then again you have to compile it. So after you edit, again you got to compile your source program. The compiler again compiles it. It checks for any kind of syntax errors again. In case there are syntax errors again, then you have to again edit the source code. Now the compiler, various compilers you can be used for this particular thing. Now the compiler normally tells on which line is the syntax error. So the line number, basically the line of code in the program, the line number is mentioned so that it is easier for the programmer to go back and make the changes. So this way, by just using the line number, you can go to that particular line in the C program and make the changes. Like it could be any kind of a missing statement or a missing kind of thing which will cause that error. So that error can be rectified, and once the error is rectified, if there is no error any in the C program, so what you do is you link it with the with the system library rather. So what do you mean by system library is that there are all the header files which are present in the system library. Now the header files are required for some kind of inbuilt functions or the library functions which we make use of in the C program. So all the linking happens over here once you are done with compiling the code. Now once the code is compiled, the source code is called as object code. And once you link it to the system library, where you link it to all the header files after that, that particular code is called as executable object code. Now, the reason it is called as executable object code is it is ready to be executed. So, this particular executable object code is then executed. Now, say you take some input data. Say the program requires some kind of input from the user. So you take that input from the user and you check for this condition, which is, are there any kind of like logic errors or data errors at this point. So data error is basically done, or it happens because the user enters some kind of wrong data. So if in case it is data error, then you go back, you take this path, go back and you enter correct data. In case it is some kind of logic error, what do you mean by logic error? Is the error in the code. In case there is some kind of logic error, like something is missing, not letting you do, some kind of a statement is missing, there's a logic error in the program, in the C program itself, then you have to go back to editing the C program, the source program, adding that line, changing that line, and once you have no errors, that's when you will be able to get the output onto the screen. So the output of the C program, or the output is also called as a result of the C program, will be displayed in the console and you will be able to see the output, and that's the end of the entire process. So you stop with the process. Now say in case you have some kind of error, data error. So what happens is that again you take a different input and you run the code. In case you have logic error, what will happen is that you have to go back to editing the program. Now once you edit the program, you have to compile the program again. Once you compile the program, the compiler will check for any kind of syntax error. If there are syntax errors, you have to again go and edit the program. But if there are no syntax errors, it will do the linking with the system library. So whatever header files, whatever library functions are required, those will be linked with the system library, and then you will get an executable object code again. So you have to then execute that object code. Again check for if there are logic errors or data errors. If there are no errors, then the output will be displayed onto the console. If not, then you have to rectify once again those errors till the output is obtained. So this is the process of compiling and executing of a C program. I will go back to the previous slide and I will revise which are the steps. The first step is creating the C program, or rather writing the C program. The second step is compiling the C program. The third important step is linking the program with the functions. These are the library functions that are needed from the C library. And the fourth and the last step is executing the C program. So these are the steps involved in executing a C program.